What's up, everyone? Welcome back for game number 2 here tonight. Technically game number 6 overall out of 8 in our Swiss system. I'm Crow, and I'm joined by another new face, Sirius. How are you doing, my friend?
I'm doing pretty good tonight. How about you, Crow?
I'm doing pretty good as well, and I understand you are a very new caster, so everyone make sure to show him some love. And we've got two teams that I am pretty familiar with. Well, Abstract less so as a team and more just as players. Achieve versus Abstract. Again, Kiru, Reapas, Drix, the new kids on the block, headed by Hypers and Frozen, two ex-Challenger League talents. Meanwhile, Abstract Empire, these guys have all been around T3 for quite a bit. Teddy, Scarping, Slickly, Shrady, although Plexios is a new name to me.
Yeah, not really too much known about Abstract. I haven't been able to see too much about them throughout the Tier 3 scene, so I've only seen like Teddy a few times throughout several G3 quals, so not really much known about them. But Achieve, we kind of seen them in SFCL and a few other games, so made it pretty far in that. Got eliminated by Vipers the last we saw of them until these quals essentially, so really should be looking good for a good game on Cafe here.
Yeah, something I'm a little surprised about with Achieve too is I expected them to be higher in the standings. If I check the standings real quick, they're kind of middle of the pack. They're 3-2 out of 5 games. I expected them to be 4-1, maybe 5-0 with the talent they have on their roster. So I know Frozen personally, and he's definitely a little disappointed with how it's been going. But this is their chance to get a win over a slightly puggier roster than they've seen before in Abstract Empire. But like you said, the game is going to Cafe, tends to be, that slower, more strategic map. You're going to be seeing a lot of full top-down map clears, and I think that's where Achieve is going to start to shine.
It's definitely just going to be pretty default, I would think, coming out of Abstract, just kind of do more standard, like pixel holds, bathroom holds, just nothing really too like crazy out of the nowhere picks for them, just like pretty default. So Achieve should be like aware of like how to deal with this, because I'm assuming they've let this map go through, so they should know how to deal with this. And we're just going to see them like get rid of the Flores. That's going to make the utility burn a lot more difficult, but going to be interesting to see what other operators in the just completely make it so much more easier to now that Flores is gone, Wamai is also gone, so util should be a lot easier to deal with.
So, they banned the Wamai, but, while utility is going to be a little easier to deal with without that operator, you do take out Flores, and Flores has been used to great effect on this map to clear, like you said, Pixel Shield, Evil Eyes in Sight, Cocktail Shield, Shields in Kitchen, utility and prep, stuff like that. Flores, a very important operator on Cafe. Maps like Cafe, Oregon, Villa, really everywhere if he's left up, but you're not going to have that. So that kind of counteracts that Wamai ban, and Nook being banned as well. You see that banned everywhere, Cafe especially with how vertical it is. You do not want to let a Nook be able to slip through and use those nades her advantage. So we'll start off upstairs on the top floor, Bar and Cocktail for Abstract Empire, and Achieve. Bit of an interesting lineup. They'll be sticking on that Thatcher who's left up, and they're bringing a Gridlock. Not an operator we often see. They'll forego a Zero, they'll forego a Nomad, and instead they'll bring her, which makes me think that they'll probably use a couple to lock off Red Stairs, and maybe they might have a Gridlock execute in store.
Yeah, it's certainly just going to be used to like lock down the stairs, like you just mentioned, and possibly utilize those smokes, which is going to be countered out by Geo on the actual Maestros, which is going to serve as just bulletproof utility, just see through those like smoke grenades. So it's going to be just a matter of, can they deal with those Maestro cans in a quick matter of time before the execute goes down? So it's just going to be, can they deal with that quickly and deal with all that utility, because Flores is gone, like from the ban phase. So now it's going to be up to just Sophia and whoever else from the nades just to deal with that utility now.
I do think, though, with only a Cade being brought and Cade not being necessarily the best on this site, maybe Frozen can even use some of those EMPs to pop open the Evil Eyes, unless Scarping, whose in-game name is Geonitis, unless Scarping is on those Evil Eyes to turn them. You've also got the nades from Drix and the impacts from Reapas. So you do have the necessary utility to deal with the shield from the smoke, the BP from Slickly, as well as those two Evil Eyes, as long as they have, 100% efficiency, which is difficult to do. A C4 comes out from Teddy, the only C4 from the defense, and it will miss.
Just one bit of utility just wasted and gone, but now nobody's actually holding Pixel anymore. That shield is already gone, and now that Reapa's is already on the white window, he's just going to be able to lock that down, so nobody can really rotate through the white corridor anymore. Now it's just going to leave a little bit more room for the attack to try to open up the piano walls and just make sure that nobody from the defense can actually sit in those positions very comfortably going into the last minute of the round.
And of course, this is where Frozen's utility comes in, those EMPs, and he sees that there are 4 walls electrified, meaning that both Electro Claws are used. He doesn't have to worry about a trick. Bit of unfortunate timing there for the Hibana. Kiru not waiting for the call or the EMP from his team, so he'll waste 1 blast of 6, but luckily they still managed to get that wall open. Frozen now pinging the soft wall for his teammate, the Sledge, to go ahead and open up. And that'll give them the avenue necessary to get into the bomb site itself. Another EMP goes out. Maybe we'll see even more hard breach on the wall, but no, nothing really.
Okay. Well, now that that's not open, just Fraser's going to be an avenue to sit in. Slickly gets the first kill onto Drix, and now that Deep Fraser player is just going to be able to sit there. So now the smoke's just kind of going to sit pretty there. He doesn't have to move anymore.
Frozen does get one back on a Teddy. The Hibana now spotting the Evil Eye, and it's open by Scarping, allowing him to shoot it. A double kill now from Frozen as Plexios dies, but the plant has been denied. Slickly doesn't get away with it, though. Overwatch from Hypers through the skylight. He gets the trade. Frozen now down on the floor, but Reapa steps up in a big way. Both the last kills for his team as Frozen and Hypers fall and achieve Esports claw back the round.
Just really surprising because they just didn't do all the things they needed to really secure that round in a very convincing way. They didn't open Fraser. They opened up Bathroom, but it was a bit of a slip up in that utility usage. So they just really had to send themselves in and just force the gunfights to secure that round in their favor, which just really, really sloppy from them and just kind of really way closer than it probably should have been. So just really need to make sure they can secure like those avenues and angles to really make that better for them to go into that execute.
Yeah, the like you said, the weird Hibana play, I think definitely had some part in it, but the recovery was really good, especially Frozen. Just, I think walking in the bathroom, that looked like where he went through, and getting 2 huge picks to open the site for his team. Hypers on the Overwatch from up top, and then of course Reapa's going big. Kiru's plant spot as well, a little curious considering, again, like you said, right, they didn't open deep freeze, or sorry, they didn't open the angle to deep freeze, which means you don't have a lot of coverage on that player. Very hard to land the shot as a skylight player if someone's just swinging the I forgot what that particular, there's 2 different calls for the 2 different doors, but if someone's just swinging the door closest to Cigar to kill your planter, really hard to, easy to get the trade, really hard to deny the kill in the first place. So maybe some miscommunication kinks to try and work out. That could be another reason why Achieve Esports are a little lower on the standings than we'd expect. I think maybe trading out Dami for Kiru, there's some growing pains there, but Kiru has had some good performances in the past, so I'm hoping that he's slowly getting better.
It's just going to be really, because like they just got to shore up that utility usage and just communications. That's really what it's going to come down to, because we saw a little bit of sloppiness in that round particularly. Great recovery, like you mentioned, but just really shouldn't be put in that situation to begin with. You have to make sure that you do all the steps to ensure that that plant can go down super easily, or at least you have the coverage to do so. And that's just not really what happened, and so they just had to force themselves into really one-on-one gunfights, which thankfully they did come on top of. But if Abstract was just ever so slightly better on and more on top of those refrags, that would have been an Abstract round win.
Yeah, like you said, when it comes to those 50-50 gunfights, we call them 50-50 gunfights for a reason. So I'm sure the rest of Achieve are thanking Reapas and Frozen for their efforts in that round, but Abstract will try again, this time foregoing the Cade, opting for a Malusi instead. Hyper's thinking about the Dokkaebi, but getting back on Gridlock. Frozen sticking on the EMPs, and now I think that point that I made earlier comes even more to the forefront of Achieve's minds and our minds as well, in that Frozen can now likely use those EMPs to disable or even pop Evil Eye, so you could use them to disable Banshees as well. Now that he doesn't have to use them on any sort of wall denial, which is weird that Abstract isn't bringing. I mean, usually if you don't see a Cade, you at least see a mute, but They're not going to worry about it.
Yeah, just interesting that they switched off the K because it was like did really stall out that entire push. So it's just interesting that they switched off of it. But I would imagine they're going to use it instead to burn out that pixel shield instead, because we do see Jaeger still up, and like you mentioned, burning out those Maestro camps so that way they can open up, shoot it, make sure they have no visibility or means to deny that plant. But just really just going to be a matter of, can they just actually burn this in a meaningful amount of time, open up those walls, and just secure themselves into positions. And it's going to be coming down to Reapas trying to burn out that shield, or Drix with the nades to clear out that position. But first one does miss. Ooh.
Yeah, not nearly as efficient as we saw in the previous round. Another nade comes in, and all right, Frozen's just going to say, screw it. You know what? If we can't get this shield, I'll just take the control myself. In the meantime, Hypers with the opening frag onto Plexios. Down a man, and giving up that pixel shield despite it not being destroyed. An interesting decision from the defense. And additionally, with no Cade, no any kind of wall denial, they'll be able to open the angles for free. So they have a safer avenue into the site, planting directly on that trash wall instead of having to plant next to the doorway, and a small angle into deep freeze.
And because Reapas is on this white window, that Maestro cannot actually move on up. Scarping is just going to be stuck in this position. He can't move up any further. Otherwise, Reapas is going to get that kill onto him. He's going to try to see if he can actually secure it and getting him off guard. He does actually get the nice shot onto him, but Plant is starting to go down.
And Teddy denies it as Kiru tries to get away from the gas canister. So man advantage in the favor of Abstract with Case forfeited in sight. That big shot from I almost called him Geo. A big shot from Scarping as well to really solidify the man advantage. I didn't expect him to win that fight, but I mean, that's the 81 for you. Prone on the floor with a shotgun. This is an advantageous fight for Shrady if Grix decides to take it. The only way that he's going to kill him is with a mean pre-fire. We'll do away with the Aruni Gate thanks to the clone, but the gas canister comes out in response. Frozen the nest to try and get the plant down, but thinks better of it. Sitting in a different spot, at least from where his teammate once was, but he's got to be careful of that player in bathroom. Another player trying to come in to hold, but both of them die. Drix and Frozen hit the floor. Hypers can't do anything against Scarping. 3 kills for the Maestro, and a tie score now 1-1.
Well, we mentioned something about being a little sloppy about their usage of the Hibana on those walls. Well, they opened up Freezer Wall, but they didn't open up Bathroom Wall for some reason, so that's Smoke was just able to sit there and just hold down that entire position, essentially locking down white corridors so nobody can move on up. And because of the fact that Reapas also died on the white rappel, that avenue is completely open for the defenders to just rotate on through. We didn't quite see it because they didn't really need to, because Achieve just didn't really have the proper angle to cover for the plant because everyone had just died on the entry into the actual bomb site. So it's just really sloppy just so far from Achieve right now. It's just they're not really securing any like win conditions for themselves. They're making it so much harder on themselves, and I just wonder if that's why, like you mentioned, they're 3-2 at the moment, kind of barely sitting above the qualification standpoint. It's just really do not need to make them much harder on yourselves than it already is.
I'm not sure if that's necessarily on Kiru for not knowing exactly how to play hard breach on this site, or maybe the IGLing of Frozen not telling him exactly where he needs to breach. But either way, hope the issue is amended for their sake. In the meantime, Abstract Empire, wonderful seizing of the opportunity giving to them. They will swap back onto the Cade, as is very common on this site, to lock off the hatch, lock off the main wall as well, but they will have it open since there's an echo in play. Allow the opportunity to rotate for Scarping, but they don't expect Hypers to be in the building. 30 seconds in, he gets one. Was immediately traded out by Teddy. And sure, you get a good opening kill. That's Cade dead. Electro Claws have already been used. Actually, no, I think 1 Electro Claw used. So I think he died with an Electro Claw in pocket, and he doesn't get to use his C4, but you also lose almost all possibility to play vertical.
Yeah, now it's just going to be another set of nades gone, so now it's going to be all up to Reapas. He is able to clear out that VIP shield, so now they do have a semblance of white control. Nice shot onto Teddy, just able to take down that little bit of site presence. But right now, it's just going to be up to taking control of VIP and tables area. It's just really clearing out that player in coat check, or like looks like he's actually sitting in tellers right now. No, it's actually still
the
coat check.
Iranian is coat check. So he's holding Kochek with the DMR. Scarping just narrowly misses the rotate from Kiru past the soft wall, but he peeks into it. Reapas with a second kill on the round. Slickly and Plexios, the last two. The nade. Plexios walks right into it. Slickly gets one back and a second. A beautiful shot using the floor holes onto Reapas. Drix now dead as well. And Slickly's just running all over them. Kiru's left in a 1v1 after the breach mishaps. He has to make up for them with a round win here. Shoots out one of those yokais. Puts a drone out for his teammates to watch. Starts getting this plant down. No more info for the defense, but the gas canister on point. Kiru, though, gonna stick that plant. Can he get out safely? Barely makes it. 50 HP remaining. And Slickly now has to go on the hunt. Again, with no info, thanks to the yokais being shot. He'll gas out more. Looking to just lock off Freezer and maybe go for the disable. He's got to search for the diffuser first. Clears the angle. Ensures that Kiru is not playing inside of Freezer. He's got to be careful. Very exposed to the angle. In comes the thermite. He misses the initial shots. Flashbangs come in to cover his retreat. Kiru hits the prone. Maybe he catches him off guard, but Slickly's feeling the pressure. He's got to go for the counter defuse, and Kiru can simply win this off time, and he'll get in just in the nick of it. Abstract Empire unable to clutch, and Achieve go up 2-1.
Well, really good attempt by Slickly to try to keep that at least close for Abstract, but unfortunately, Achieve just really did so well to just essentially just brute force their way into actual bomb site, just winning a lot of their gunfights. Just doing so, especially off of Hippers, just kind of disorienting the entire defense of Abstract, and just from there, just clearing out utility, just winning their gunfights no matter where they go. But just then a little bit of sloppiness, just kind of just trying to go for that final player, just go essentially give him a bunch of 1v1s. That's just really not good to see, because that just kind of means a lack of discipline. But thankfully, doesn't really mean too much in grand total of things, as they did win that round out. But just again, some little costly mistakes are just creeping up here and there, and I'm just wondering if, like, does this mean that Abstract is able to keep this close because of that fact, or is it just Achieve just need to settle things down, and can they just secure this in a very reasonable fashion?
I think it's definitely a possibility. You even saw Hyper's, well, you guys didn't see it because the replays were on screen, but Hyper said in chat, hey, nice try. Just Slickly made a valiant attempt. So we'll see Abstract Empire go for a very similar defense, still running the same ops with the exception of Slickly. Off smoke, onto Thunderbird. A little concerning considering that smoke was their only effective use of plant denial. It got a lot of HP off Kiru, forced him out of Freezer, and with Scarping dying early, if he does that again, well, you're pretty much out of options save for the C4s. However, just like we saw upstairs, Achieve are also going for a very similar, if not the same attack.
Just not going for essentially the exact same thing, but just a lot slower now, because Plexios is not allowing Hippers to just run on into Kochek and just take that control. But Drix gets a nice nade kill onto Teddy. That's just going to be whiskey control in the favor of Achieve. And now VIP is now completely in their control. They have white control all in their favor, and now it's going to be up to Shrey and the rest of Abstract to try to clutch this out.
And they don't. And they flawless round there for Achieve. Like I said, pretty much the same attack, and Abstract Empire knew it. I saw the vision. They tried to get more aggressive, playing off the positions that Achieve had before, but there was one little thing they didn't account for. The fact that Hypers is not rushing in this time. Achieve play back, and they play on that restaurant double window, get the nade in, the whiskey player done, and Kiru looked like he just walked in and fragged the VIP player of Slickly. And from there, Scarping gets aggressive, dies on the echo again, I think peeking the hallway, like the carpet hallway, all the way down in a restaurant, and Achieve Esports moving on in and just crushing everything in their way. So that forces Abstract off the site, and curiously, they go mining. They forego upstairs, which has been reopened, and they forgo reading the typical tertiary, sometimes even secondary site, now that Kitchen has become slightly less popular. They do have a Mira in their midst, and they are going to be, of course, holding top floor. We'll see if Achieve Esports have done their due diligence in terms of their scrim work and know how to attack this site.
And it's just very off pick coming out from Abstract, not really typically too mean even in tier 3, really. It's just going to be interesting to see if Abstract can actually just hold on to the top floor or just really deny any entrance into mining. That's just going to be the real crucial thing. This roam has to do so well to just ensure that Achieve essentially waste a whole lot of time upstairs and just clearing out utility that they have really no utility left for the actual site clear and just execute. So it's just going to be a matter of, can they do that quickly? Because they've been trying to set the pace very fast within the last 2 rounds, just kind of brute forcing their way through the utility that Abstract has been setting up. But it's not going to be really the same case here.
We got the Hibana waiting on the roof for one of his teammates, probably to pop open the hatches or at least clear his way through Skylight. Frozen already droning in, does spot the presence in the white hallway from Plexios on the Warden. Hyper setting up by Cocktail, setting up some air jabs, and also having the white stairs window open, so he catches Plexios on the rotate. The Warden player, now the only player in the lobby, still on a donut. Another for Hypers, as Scarping peeks the window into him. Over aggression from Abstract Empire. Just like we saw in the previous round, Nets achieve Esports 2 picks and make it a third. Teddy does get 1. And he's actually still in the building, so he's not finished off. So I stand corrected. Hypers goes down, and Teddy stays up. But still, a lot of HP off that Maz. He also lost a C4 on Scarping. Plexios may have been running it as well. And there we go, the C4 being ripped and missing. And a second one missing as well. So no more C4s. Trady, the only source of plant denial, should achieve Esports shove themselves into the site.
Yeah, but he's playing in a very aggressive position over in Laundry, so if one drone kind of spots him out, he could be a dead man, so it's going to be up to Teddy to make sure that nothing actually spots him out in this position. So a lot of that utility gone, like you were mentioning. It was just unfortunate. Now Teddy's dead. He was already on such low HP, it was going to be difficult for him to get anything done anyway, but it's going to make it so much harder because it's a 4v2 now, and they have been desperately losing bodies so quickly trying to get those refrags, but nothing's been going their way.
One player preparing to jump into the site. Kiru just outside the window, but Slickley's got a very nice angle. Doesn't see the feet of the Iana until it's too late. Misses out on the angle, and the comms come through. Kiro, a beautiful shot. And Trady's alone now. The Hibana spots him. The SMG11 player forced off the angle and doesn't pull the trigger in time. Drix dusks him, and Achieve Esports take their second round in a row. They go up 4-1.
Well, they're just doing such a good job to punish Abstract's just over aggression, and just like as soon as they lose a body, it's just almost seems like Abstract is very desperately trying to go for that refrag once again to try to keep it even. But then they just kind of walk into sight lines of Hippers, for example, just giving him a free kill essentially, because that is such a tough angle to fight on the white stairs window. It's just like, it's not really necessary. You're still in a fairly good position, only being one man down. You can bring it back later on. You don't need to do that. But because of the fact they do it, and now they lose so many bodies, it's so much tougher for the site players to try to essentially bring it back. And so now it's going to be up to the only site that they've won on, and even then it was just kind of more of Achieve's small mistakes that really cost them that one round.
I do like the swap to the Nomad from Hyper, even though the air jabs didn't do much. Very successful with it, and this time instead of Gridlock,
10 seconds remaining.
no? Back onto the Gridlock?
No, back. Oh, wait.
No, Frozen on Gridlock.
Ooh.
Hypers on Thatcher. So the two Challenger League, or former Challenger League players, swap their roles. Drix sticks the sledge, and Kiru, instead of Hibana, will find himself on Ace. But once again, Abstract Empire not playing any form of wall denial, so Kiru's going to be able to get this down for free.
Yeah, it's just gonna really, because Maestros have not been having much impact on the rounds. That just this form of plant denial has not really been doing so well, because they put him in such easy positions for just Achieve to get rid of, especially the one for Trash Wall. But like, and now they have a really good idea of how to clear out Pixel. Plexios has been falling back super early on, not really contesting this very well. So now that they've just droned him out, he may just fall back here, and that's exactly what he's gonna do.
Much more efficient, just like we saw in round one, rather than the I don't want to be mean, but the pretty poor utility management that we saw in round 2. That makes way for Hypers to already be in the building in Piano, scoping things out for his team. Again, no wall denial means the EMP's less important. One Evil Eye evades the lifeline from Reaper's.
That's unfortunate.
Not careful enough with his placement means the Maestro Cam on top of Heaven survives, at least for now.
Yeah, but now the Razor Walls is getting opened up and possibly Bathroom in just a second. They do have a general idea of that. Actually, he's just getting on a drone right now. He's going to be droning out the freezer angle. Realizes that no one's in actually deep freeze, but he's going to see that Smoke's still in Bathroom, so he's probably going to open that up in just a second. Yep, that's exactly what he's going to do. So that Smoke is going to have to vacate his area and just kind of fall back to pit pallets right now. So that's the entire freezer in Chief's control.
There we go. Better management of the hard breach as well this round, ensuring that they're not going to get punished by the smoke shotgun in Bathroom. They have the avenue into sight that they need as well, forcing those early smokes from Shrady. This is what I'm a little scared of. Those Maestro Evil Eyes still up, and Teddy with a run out to grab Drix. No one in a position to refrag. Kiru the next on the floor, trying to come in for the plant. No refrag once again as Scarping finishes him off. Hyper's the next to fall, and it's a 2 versus 5, 1 versus 5 for Frozen. Although the utility management much better this round, they are absent in the fragging department. Abstract Empire taking every single fight and winning it, and Frozen does not expect a reposition from Shrady all the way into Piano. So at the very least, Abstract get a 2-4 half.
Well, unfortunately for Achieve, they were better about their utility usage, like you highlighted there, but just unfortunately, they didn't really do much with it. They didn't like go into Freezer to try to clear out that cocktail players. So just unfortunately, didn't really do much with the control they took, but just then it just kind of allowed Abstract to kind of just sit back and just hold their angles, because then Achieve is left with very, very little time at that point to try to go for the plant. So all they have to do is just walk into their angles. And unfortunately, they just lost it.
Yeah, I don't know, even though they forced them back, they didn't have, I feel like they just didn't quite have the teeth that they had in the previous couple bar rounds. I mean, they were only able to find, oh no, they didn't get any kills that round, did they?
I think that was, I don't think it was it a flawless round? I thought they got 1 kill at least.
I'm trying to, I don't think they did.
I don't remember.
Yeah, I'm not quite sure. It was either no kills or 1 kill, so either way it's a pretty dominant from Abstract Empire. It looks like we had a another disconnect. No, not Teddy. Scarping is out of the lobby, so we just had a quick pause to get him back. That's why we had to time out earlier as well. Kiru had disconnected, so hopefully we don't need to full rehost, because that would suck. But I can give you a bit of a sneak peek. The first defense of the new half, at least for now, will be played on Reading Room and Fireplace. So, like I said, with Kitchen kind of falling out of popularity a bit, Reading has definitely stepped up as not just a tertiary site. Some teams play it secondary, some teams even play it primary. If you know how to play top floor correctly, if you know how to play top floor well, then Reading just becomes an even stronger bomb site. And I didn't realize this, but Abstract Empire didn't play Valkyrie once. She's left up, and Cafe is is a really strong map, even without the ability to throw them outside anymore. Still a really strong map, similarly to Villa and Border, because of how vertical it is. So much C4 potential if you play underneath, especially, for a Reading Room defense, right? You have those C4 players supporting the top floor hold with those C4s. They opted for an Echo, which is respectable, but they didn't play Valkyrie once. And Frozen's immediately, he's not going to let that advantage go unused. Both he and Hypers will have C4s. Interesting pick as well. Reapers will play the first Thorn that we see.
Ooh. Well, we did see Abstract pick out Mira at least 2 times in their defensive hold. So that another operator that's really good on this map because of just the angles that she can hold down, but just not really utilizing her very well, because I don't believe she had much effect on the rounds. I believe they lost both times they brought her out. So if they bring her out alongside the Valkyrie, that's just going to be so much information that they can bring out onto their own defenses that possibly could just make it very difficult for Abstract to try to just really take any ground and just really just highlight just aggression that we've been seeing out of Achieve so far.
Yeah, the lineup so far had it had consisted of, what was it, Valkyrie, Thorn, Mute, Smoke, and someone else. Oh, Jaeger, Smoke and Jaeger. So no extra info from the Mira. Abstract did have an interesting comp bringing, I think, both a Nomad and a Dokkaebi, if I remember correctly. So they really want to make sure that those the rotatability, the fluidity of Achieve Esports is hindered. Plus, of course, the Dokkaebi helps in hunting down those roamers. We'll have to see if they play in and around those jammers to try and deny those calls. But we are unfortunately going to have to full rehost. The player unable to get back in the lobby. I can see if we're switching to a break or not, but I mean, for now, I don't know. I kind of talked about everything. I don't know what else there is to talk about. Do you have any ideas?
I've got no ideas. Otherwise, I think we're just going to go to a quick break. So we'll be right back.
Gemini clone will go on through, and it can run through that gas grenade without taking any damage. They'll gather some of that information on the Bakery player, who has now fallen back into the bomb site. More burn coming on through, so the Bakery hold is doing its job and wasting plenty of attack and utility, but now the attack has found their way on inside. Jagged may be caught out in a bad position and does get down. Now they are potentially, there is the potential to revive Jagged and keep the smoke up on the board, but they've taken a lot of damage already and are in a not great position here to be picked up. A nade will come through from Homie Jr. trying to finish off the smoke, but it will not do so. Jagged will get rezzed by their teammates, so the smoke will still be in play, but only one gas grenade remains in their pocket.
On the breach fully open on up now, just exposing as much of the site as possible. Sonofin is available to create some plays from upstairs, though it looks like he wants to maybe move down the red stairs, try and catch him off on a side angle, and draw some pretty cheeky lines. Homie Jr. looking deep into sight, trying to find the players right at the back of the kitchen. As Nope taking some damage back. Windows able to take down the Mute. That's the pesky little side problem gone. This makes the site just a little bit more appetizing to jump into. J-Ram still, though, unread corridor can cause problems for them, and that's why they're trying to force him out. Use the flashbangs, the pings coming through, giving away the position, but Jagged will eventually be finished off, no longer have to worry about the smoke, as Teknith finds a second 2 versus 4. Nope, hugging tight on the wall, getting this diffuser down. The defenders locked out of sight. Zhao walking down red. Has to be a little bit wary of the air jab, as that will blow up. He's not the one that dies, though. It's Sherm pushing in through Freezer. Zhao 1 versus 4 to keep Greenwall's hopes of this game alive, as the shots coming through. That's a wonderful shot onto the Homie Jr. Now playing behind the Bakery counter. The shots peppering over the top of his head. He knows exactly where they are, but they're just not letting him move. Able to work his way into prep. Finds a second. Zhao. Nope goes down, and now, again, just continuing to plunge deeper into sight. The red pings from his teammates giving him the assistance that he needs to try and win the third, but no. Teknith, he's not faltering. He will win these. And, well, Leviathans, a comfortable 7-1 victory in round number 2.
Leviathan's definitely proving that they were the better team here in this matchup. Greenwall just not strong enough. They were shut out here by Leviathans, only winning 1 round, the first attacking round. So effectively a 7-0 for Leviathans if that first round didn't happen.
And we are back. Sorry about that. We had to full rehost the lobby as the final player from Abstract, I think it was Scarping, could not reconnect. But if you were not with us earlier, it was a 4-2 attacking half for Achieve Esports, losing the second and final round of the half. And they'll swap on a defense, defending Reading and Fireplace, and Frozen will stick on that Valkyrie. First time we're seeing her all map, although Reapa's off of I think he was playing Smoke earlier. He's now on Ella instead.
It's going to be interesting because that's just going to be another shield, but just replacing it instead of the smoke base, now just those concussion mines. So going to be more just to get an idea of where those players are, just with both the Thorn and the Ella now. They're going to have a pretty good idea of where those players of Abstract are going to be moving into, but just not having really any plant denial outside of Hippers and Frozen on the plant, on the C4s. Just going to be really reliant on their guns to try to get as many kills as possible, and possibly relying on the intel from Frozen on Valk.
Yeah, I mean, technically, you could use Ella as plant denial.
You technically can.
I wonder if you could, because I know I have seen people like whip Ella mines at the planter. Do you think you could do that with Thorn's gadget too?
It'd probably get him to
slow?
go off, but it has a small delay on when it activates.
I know it's got like the general activation delay, and then there's like the delay once it's activated. So I don't know if it's too slow.
I'm pretty sure it'd be too slow because Hydra could get off and just shoot it, but regardless.
Either way, 2 shields being played by Achieve, forgoing barbed wire instead, opting for the bulletproof cam from Drix. So, like you said, between the Thorn and the Ella's traps, the Valkyrie, and now the BP from Drix, plenty of info for Achieve Esports. That's the name of the game. C4 being prepped from Hypers, waiting for the drop. He hears it, and there goes the C4, but it's shot by Shrady.
Oh, wow. Just really good read from Shrady, just realizing that he was just essentially just waiting for him to drop and was able to shoot out that C4. So thankfully, he's going to keep his life, is now going to be able to move on into Cigar. That's just going to be an unfortunate utility usage now gone. But thankfully, Shrady just able to keep his head on and is now able to still 5v5, but a lot of time was wasted off of that.
They've still got to deal with all this utility upstairs. 2 shields, both shields being upstairs. The nade comes in, destroys something, destroyed that bench. Certainly, I don't really know what else it could have been for. Seeing that they're burning the utility now. In comes the nade, but it's Scarping with the early kill onto not only Kiru, but Reapa's as well. Playing on that window, catching both the shield players. Drix the next to die to Teddy, and Frozen and Hypers all of a sudden find themselves in a 2v5 with no C4s. So no freebies. They'll have to win all these gunfights and try and take minimal damage while doing so. Frozen's taking the fight through the floor unsuccessfully as Hypers dies off screen, and Abstract, dominant first attack.
Well, all the intel that we were talking about for Achieve really just did not come into effect. All those C4s were just completely gone, and it just seemed, I don't know how like those first 2 players died, but it just seemed that same kind of angle from Plexios that we saw earlier on that white window just came back to cost Achieve as they were trying to rotate on back, and just unfortunately, just really good job by Scarping essentially just to hold down those fallback angles, just while the rest of his team was pushing down that white corridor, just forced everyone to basically fall into his gun sights, and just essentially just all died because of that one player.
Yeah, he was the linchpin in that clear. Hopefully Achieve Esports are more cognizant next time as they swap sites. They go up to bar. No more funny business. Really the only quote-unquote off-pick is Alibi, but even then, you play her for the gun. She's still a meta operator thanks to her shield and bailiff, her setup. Her whole kit, incredibly useful. Setting up for the C4 play from below as well. That little hole that the shotgun was making through the floor, you send a C4 up from downstairs in Train, and you can actually get some players in Cigar. So Achieve Esports kind of telegraphing that they're going to be playing downstairs. And Abstract Empire, we'll see if they go for the full clear, but somehow I doubt it, considering they're playing both a Ying and a Mara.
Oh boy. Well, we do see Scarping and Teddy on Ying and Amaru respectively. That's probably going to be a very fast execute, trying to see if he can take control of Heaven and just quickly move on into a Cocktail. It's probably just going to come off of these Ying Candelas. Really just going to have to see if the Ying Candelas just come to really great effect to enable this essentially just rush.
What? And Slickly already gets an early kill, and that, I believe, was a player on site, so it's even more open for this possible rush play now. Frozen could rotate downstairs with a C4 and join Hypers and put a stop to at least one plant attempt here. They're going to have to be right on target. Smokes start to come in. Candela's likely to follow. Into the Amaru. Kiru hits the floor. 3 versus 5 in the favor of Abstract Empire. Plexios another on the Reapas. And once again, Hypers and Frozen the last 2 alive. A big C4 from Hypers. Takes out Teddy and down Scarping. And gets another, a beautiful shot on a Plexios with the SMG-11. Looking for more, but it's Frozen to chime in with a C4 of his own. Scarping has to get picked up by Shrady, but he's feeling the pressure. The cross from Frozen spotted. The Zofia being called out along with her down teammate on the camera. Hypers getting shots in, doing a little bit of damage. And Scarping irrecoverable unless Shrady goes for it right now. And he gets it just in the nick of time, but Hypers finds the angle. A 3rd kill, and Shrady's all alone. Stuck on Heaven. Ping's still coming. You can hear it on his screen. And Frozen and Hypers know they don't have to push. The case is not in his control. They can play the crossfire. They do not want to give up the 1v1s. Frozen misses some shots, but Hypers does not. 4 kills for the Frenchie, and the 2 ex-Challenger League players clutch up the 2v5.
Wow. Just that all that information just from the default camp and the Valkyrie camps just really came into such huge effect for Achieve and those last 2 players, because there were pings on pretty much all the players of Abstract. There was one onto the player of Pixel. There was like definitely some onto players in Cocktail, because they were constantly getting pinged by that default camp that someone failed to shoot. And just because of that, they're just able to know exactly where they need to be. They know exactly when to swing because they have all the intel onto those players. And just comes down to all the intel that they got from all those cameras. Just insane, just like comeback from that round, because that was definitely a round that Abstract really should have won if they were able to shoot out all those intel gathering capabilities. It just, oh man.
It should be a tie game right now. 4-4. And you got to give it up not only to the intel gathering capabilities, but the communication and timing from the teammates' comms and the C4s from below. That round is not possible unless all those C4s connect. Frozen got 1. Hypers essentially got 2. So just by the grace of the info comboed with the explosives, it was down to even man count, which is much more doable. C4s, that's the important thing to remember about C4s, especially when comboed with stuff like the Bulletproof from Drix, the Valkyrie cameras from Frozen. They are free kills. Nearly untradeable. And Achieve Esports played that free kill potential perfectly. Couldn't have done it better. And now they find themselves up 5-3. That's definitely a boon for the mental of Achieve Esports as well. Hopefully not a chalker for Abstract Empire, because they're still in this game. We saw Achieve Esports take a 4-2 half. Abstract Empire could certainly do the same thing and bring us to overtime at the very least.
And we're going to see Plexios onto the Dokkaebi, which is going to do a double duty, essentially. One, to figure out where those roamers are, possibly with the help of Scarping on the IQ to spot out those phones, and find all those Valkyrie cameras. So and now, because of the Dokkaebi, if anyone dies early on, they can't get on those cameras, so just going to be a lot of intel denied. That's just going to be the general idea for Abstract in this round. But is it going to be enough? Because it seems that Hippers wants to go for a C4, it just misses Shrady.
That's crazy. Okay, I thought, as we were watching Shrady, I thought he whipped around and killed someone, but it's actually the opposite. Drix onto Slickly. Slickly not able to get away with the same thing he did last round, I would have to assume, but Hypers is the next to fall. One of the big parts of that clutch, dead early on thanks to Scarping and a C4. In fact, the only other C4, considering Frozen used his off the board. Drix, though, responds in kind, taking Scarping himself out and retaining the man advantage for his team. But Iana just decides to drop in. Plexios falls. Reapa's another 2 for him. Teddy gets 1 refrag, but he's still in a 1 versus 3 and allows Kiru to drop away. The bulletproof now dealt with, so no more info upstairs for Achieve Esports, but still with Case outside, a tough clutch for Teddy.
Well, just again, one of the big things is just Plexio. Scarping was able to get 1 kill on the fallback, but that was pretty much it. Everybody else from Achieve had intel on where those players of Abstract were, and was just essentially just not able to deal with any of that utility on the shields in both pallets and the cocktail. We see Teddy get into a little small engagement with the yellow of Reapa's, not able to connect any shots, and now, oh, there's a Valkyrie cam on him. They know exactly where he is. And unfortunately, he's going to die. And that's going to be 2 rounds in a row for Achieve based off of that utility and just really good coordination from them.
Yeah, 3. It was a buddy ace as well. 3 kills for Reapa's, 2 for Drix, the 2 young gunners that Achieve Esports has had pretty much this whole time. They were on the team even before Frozen was. So there's a reason why he's kept them on the roster. And that's it. Achieve Esports now going up 6-3 thanks to just top floor dominance. They go on to Kitchen for the first time. Different player playing Valkyrie, and like you mentioned, Mira now stepping into the fray as Frozen plays her. Kiru sticking on that smoke, so with 2 C4s, gas canisters, plenty of plant denial, 2 shields as well, thanks to the alibi being played by Reapa's. With Abstract Empire struggling to clear the off-site players, if Achieve Esports can waste enough time on that roam, this site execute's going to be exceedingly difficult.
Well, they can't even deal with the actual utility placed around the map either. They struggled to deal with any of those pallet shields or the ones in Cocktail either, and just allowed Achieve to just essentially sit behind them and just play off of them really well. So now that there's a mirror on the board, which is even tougher to get rid of, it's just going to be so difficult for Abstract to try to get any foothold in the map unless they can really just essentially solo out some of these players, which has not really been working out too well for them.
Doesn't look like Achieve, though, are extending too far away from the site. There's 1 upstairs, but I think he's still on the 2nd floor. Mirror window zapped, though, by the Twitch drone. They don't hear it, and Frozen gives up a good bit of control, pretty much the entirety of Bakery, thanks to that open mirror window and open wall. And he's going to say, you know what? If I can't control this, I might as well reinforce it off and force them to have to use hard breach if they want to come through this way. But the majority of the tech still on this reception side of things. Plexios peeking through, stunning in, clearing the ADSs into coat check for the nade to follow. But in doing so, it costs him nearly his life. He's downed, but not out, as Grix falls back into coat check now that the ADS has reactivated. So at the very least, Plexios gets picked up, but it's still a good HP win and utility win for Abstract Empire. Or other way around, for Achieve.
Unfortunately, they're just not able to clear out Drix really well there. He was fell back for just a bit, was able to just retake that entire position, and now Hero is able to kind of just hold down the teller's doorway, and now all he has to do is just watch the coat hop in. Now, just Abstract is really struggling to do anything with this clear, and they just have no idea. They have an idea that Drix is here, but they can't deal with him in any sort of way.
It looks like Plexios might just try and full send it, despite the low HP. He's got the SMG-12, which is a fantastic close quarters gun. Tries to throw the drone as a distraction, and it almost works. And Drix ends up going 1 for 1, trading the Dokubi for the Jaeger. Another for Teddy as Kiru now falls. The smoke dying early. Kiru has not had the greatest game so far. Slickly kills the Mira, denying a C4, but here's the flag from Hypers. This is big. Man count even, but Reapa's adds onto it. 1v2 for Slickly to keep the map alive. Hunting down the alibi. He's got the pings. He's got the kill. And now he's got the case control back in his favor. He'll try to attempt the plant, but Hypers, remember, he's still got a C4. The smoke is down. He has to hear the plant going down. Here comes the explosive. Slickly not getting away in time. He's downed. Does Hypers know? Well, he certainly does now as Teddy and Scarping throw out the GG. Slickly on the floor, can only watch as Hypers finishes him off and finishes the map. Frenchie Power saves the day, and Achieve Esports wins 7-3.
Well, really, it just kind of comes down to their lack of really clearing out any of those positions. They kind of lost so many bodies just on that initial clear of coat check, and then just moving on into Whiskey. They got some good gunfights in, but unfortunately, Achieve still had a lot of intel on those positions and just not really watching that flank, just allowed Hippers to just kind of flank behind into VIP and just killed the last player who's really doing a very good pinch onto that last player in sight. And that was really just it.
Yeah, it seemed like once they killed Kiru, they kind of ignored that side of the map completely, which allowed, like you said, Hypers to get that flank through, and they could not have won the round without the efforts of the Valkyrie. Hypers, a huge player in this match for Achieve Esports, and they climb up the standings just a bit. Now their record 4-2. Once you get 6 wins, you are pretty much, I think, guaranteed to make it into closed. And Achieve Esports have now 2 more games to get that 6th win, because I think not every 5-win team is going to be able to make it. So you really want to make sure you get that 6th. But either way, it was a shaky start for Achieve, I think. They could have definitely done better than a 5-2 half had they played their positions in utility a little bit better. But boy, did they really turn up on the defense. That clutch proving to be a big momentum changer. And the one negative takeaway, though, well, not the one, but a big negative takeaway I have, though, is Kiru not playing his role, I think, to the best of his ability. Like, we saw Achieve Esports yesterday, and Kiru was a standout player. Textbook frag support. But today, a lot of early deaths on really important operators. A lack of good utility play on that hard breach like we saw from him. So I'm hoping, he gets rid of the new roster jitters soon.
Well, I mean, the only rounds they really struggled on was the bar defense from Abstract, but otherwise they were looking really good and just played really well off each other. The coordination and just general information for them was just a really key highlight throughout the entire game. So just got to commend Achieve for just kind of shoring up the early mistakes that they had early on, like you were mentioning, just kind of not really utilizing utility well. But otherwise, if you ignore the bar rounds, they look so great throughout the game.
Yeah, I mean, like you said, if we just take away those 2 slip-ups, then, score would have been like 7-1, 6-1 at that point. But either way, great stuff from Achieve. That's our 2nd game now done. We're halfway through the day. Stay tuned. We've got 2 more matches coming, so we will have game 3 just after this break.
On a double,